car, SUV, or truck, guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.
And how interesting that we will be speaking with the owner of Low Overhead Country, also known as Frontier Motors. Well, his name is actually Iven Streckel, but his business is Frontier Motors. That will be the topic of this edition of Talk at 10 here on News Talk 1370 WCOA Pensacola as we continue with our morning programming. Used automobiles and trucks and SUVs and some other things as well. That's what Iven Streckel will be talking about, and you can too. You can listen, you can call 478-3116, 478-3116. He will be happy to answer questions from you. 478-3116 for the next half hour. Good morning, Iven.
Hey, Don. Thanks so much for the introduction. And we are WCOA Radio. We've been doing this radio show for going on 20 years now. And we're also videotaping this for our Blab TV customers. So if you're watching this on TV, it's probably not live. But if you're listening to this on the radio, it probably is live. And the reason that we have the show is sort of twofold. Number one, to talk about Frontier Motors a little bit and what we do different in the Pensacola area. But number two, also keep the people in our Pensacola area abreast of what's going on in the car industry and letting them know there's a dealership out here in Pensacola on 230 Beverly Parkway called Frontier Motors that's willing to give free advice when you're ready to buy a vehicle. I've been in the car business since I was 15 years old, started selling cars when I was 18, and have worked for new car dealerships almost for 22 years of my life, and used car dealership now at Frontier Motors going on 21 years. So the experience that I can bring to the table might help you make sure that when you are in the market, that you are not going to get taken advantage of. Most people buy, on the average, a new car or a used car every 11.2 years, which means that you don't have a lot of practice buying cars. Now, some of you out there I know might buy a car every 3 or 4 years, but on the average, right now, the average age of a car on the road in the United States is 11.2 years. So if you're coming into the dealership and you're the average buyer, you got a car that's about 11 years old thinking of upgrading. So why not stop at Frontier Motors for two reasons? Number one, I've got the guidebooks available. If you're going to buy a brand new car, one of the books that I subscribe to is a new car cost guide, and this tells me what the invoice is on any car out there. Now, the reason that's important, because I know I get the Consumer's Reports, which I have right here, and in the back of Consumer's Reports, they always advertise that they will sell you an invoice, and the reason you would want an invoice is to find out what the dealer paid for the car, and of course, if you know what the dealer paid, it might help you get a good deal. Also might save a lot of time. We're not making ridiculous offers because some people think that the vehicles are marked up quite a bit more than they are. But Consumer's Reports sells the invoices for about $15 a copy. At Frontier Motors, you can get them at no charge. That's one of the things that we help you with. The other thing that we help you with is we've got some books available to us to help with values of vehicles, especially your trade-in, that you can't get at your public library or on the internet. One of them is a black wholesale guidebook. Looks like the one I'm holding up right now. It's a black book printed by the Hearst publication. They've been having these books in the car business since I've been in it. I remember when I was a lot kid, I was 15 years old. I remember the managers talking about to their salespeople that do not leave these books on the desk because they have what wholesale would be on a car. And of course, they don't know, the dealers don't want you to know what wholesale is because you'll know what they paid for it. And if you know what they paid for it, they might not make as much money as they'd like to. Number two, we have the NEDA guidebooks. Now, I know you can Google NEDA on the internet, but the books that we use are a little bit different. These are the ones that our banks, credit unions, and mostly important, our insurance company use for replacement values. So these books are quite important. That'll give you what a banker would tell you a car's value is. Now, that doesn't mean that's what it's really worth. One of the things that I do at Frontier Motors and our 5 sales managers do from morning till night is we give what I consider real values. Real values are what I feel that a car should be able to be purchased for from the auction. And then what I do is I put a profit on that, and I give you an idea of what that car should sell for on the retail market. The other thing we have also available to us at Frontier Motors is a program called Price Driver. I've got it on my computer right now, and it tells me what a particular car sells for in our area. Very helpful if you're doing comparison shopping, which who doesn't do that? If you're in the market, first one that comes up here is a 2018 and 16 Toyota Corolla. Well, if you're in the market for a Toyota Corolla, wouldn't it be nice to know how many are available? So I hit my price driver on the 16 Corolla, and it says that within 150 miles, which is what it defaults to, there are 10 exact matches available in our area. Eastern Shore has one, Toyota Fort Walton. Eastern Shore has another one. Honda of Slidell has one. Toyota Fort Walton Beach, Toyota of Dothan, Allen Toyota, Reinhardt Toyota, and Allen Toyota. These are exact matches in 2000, and they range anywhere from $14,700 for the lowest one to $19,900 for the most expensive one. Now, very good information to know if you're shopping for a Toyota Corolla. We happen to have one on our lot at Frontier Motors. It has 37 miles on it. So our competition really aren't those dealers that I just mentioned. Our competition would be the new car dealer as far as a comparison of what you should pay for a brand new one versus one with 37 miles on. I've got an article here from Consumers Reports, which is an April's edition, and really puts into writing what I've been talking about at Frontier Motors for 20 years. And they talk about the depreciation. They say that the average selling price of a car last year was $34,000. And the average depreciation in year one was 27%, which equates into $9,200 depreciation the first year. $9,200. So what they're basically saying is that you're not the smartest guy in the world if you're going to buy a brand new car, if you're going to trade every year. Now, some people buy brand new cars, number one, because they can afford it. Number two, because maybe they're going to run the car on the ground. They don't care about resale value. But a lot of people change their buying habits. I know, because that's what I do, is I specialize in selling one-year-old cars at Frontier Motors. And when I looked at our inventory, we have almost 400 cars in inventory. We have over 100 of them in stock that are less than a year old. Now, that's a quarter of our inventory is less than a year old. I scour the whole Southeast United States buying up cars like this at a reduced price. Now, if the average depreciation is $9,200, you're not going to save $9,200, because obviously the dealer that buys that car, whether it be Frontier Motors or the competition, has to make money. It just really depends on how much they want to make. But an interesting article that I have with me from the used car dealer magazine is they had a survey done. They said almost 90% of American consumers dislike something about the process of purchasing a vehicle at a car dealership. They surveyed 2,100 adults, and basically what it says that 61% of the respondents said they felt they were taken advantage of at some point at the dealership. Millennials in particular expressed disdain for dealership experience, with 56% saying they would rather clean their homes and 34% saying they'd rather wait in line at the DMV than visit a dealership. Isn't that sad? And there was another one that said that they would rather get a root canal than negotiate with a car dealership.
That's great.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah, that's the voice of Iven Streckel. Actually, that was my voice, but that's his voice right over there. He'd be happy to talk to you. Take a question if you would like to call in. Give us a call at 478-3116. You can call the dealership at 436-8080. They're at 230 Beverly Parkway. But Iven Streckel, is here for the remainder of this edition of Talk at 10 on News Talk 1370 WCOA. And he would be honored to take a call from you, because he is just loaded with information about the car business. So think about it. 478-3116.
People dislike the car buying process so much that we decided 20 years ago to open up our own dealership and not get a new car franchise. A lot of franchises dictate how you sell cars, how you sell their makes and models. At Frontier Motors, we sell it our way. And I know how to do it the right way, because I ran a new car dealership and my boss told me how to do it the wrong way. And I learned from that, and I said, if I ever open up my own place, I said, I'm going to do it differently. We're going to make things a lot easier for the customer. And the one thing we do very easy for the customer is have the customer have the ability to ask the question, well, what's your bottom price? Can you give it to me in writing, and can you give me an out-the-door price? That's one of the things that I provide at Frontier Motors. I'm proud of the fact that our salespeople know what I'm talking about on the radio and TV right now. that when you come in there, they actually do what we talk about, and that is to give you an out-the-door price and writing. Now, that means including taxes, title, and dock fee. We talked about this Toyota Corolla that we have in inventory that has 37 miles on it. Now, how do you shop a car like that? And I've had a customer say this before, where let's say we're asking $18,000 for the car, and the customer says, well, for $1,500 more, I can buy a brand new 16 leftover, which $1,500, I'll be the first one to tell you, for $1,500. Well, $1,500, if it's got 30 miles on it, it's still a lot of money in my mind. But it's not that $7,000 or $8,000 savings we're talking about. Folks, you've got to go on one thing. You've got to go on the bottom line price difference, especially when there's a trade-in. So you forget about the asking price. You forget about rebates and incentives. Forget about how much they're charging for a dock fee or a get-ready charge or a battery tax. Forget about all that stuff. The only thing that you need to care about is what do you write the check for. And if my bottom line figure is $4,000 less than a new one, and I got a vehicle like the one I just talked about that has 30 miles on it, you might end up buying my car because that's a pretty good chunk of change. Don, do we have a call?
We do. This is A.L.
Hey, A.L., how can I help you? This is the Frontier Motor Show.
Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to ask you about warranties.
Hey, Don, I can't hear
Say,
you.
for instance, I bought a Hyundai from you with 10,000 miles on it, and the transmission went out at 40,000. Would the local Hyundai dealer cover the warranty? I know they warranty their transmissions for 100,000 miles. But they still honor that warranty because I bought the car from you?
The 100,000 mile transmission drivetrain warranty is only to the first owner on a Hyundai. It's a little deceiving because they do advertise that nationwide. It's a big deal in their book as far as the warranty, but it's only for the first owner. And there's about I would say probably 50% of the manufacturers out there, the drivetrain warranty only goes to the first owner. The new car warranty, which on a Hyundai is a 5-year, 60,000 mile bumper to bumper warranty, of course, is transferable. And there's no paperwork to fill out. But and how many miles were on your car, AL?
I'm driving an old Hyundai now.
Okay.
So I want to get a new one.
Okay.
And I knew that but I bought it originally from the Hyundai dealership.
Yeah.
And I've been driving it for 16 years, so it's time to get another car. But I just wondered what would happen if I bought the car from you and something happened to the transmission.
You would only be under warranty up to 60,000 miles. To get the 100,000 mile drivetrain warranty, you've got to buy it brand new. And obviously our local dealer is Alan Turner. What I'd look at, AL, is the price difference on a 1-year-old Hyundai, for example, where you don't get the warranty versus a brand new one. If I can save you, let's just say hypothetically, I can save you $5,000 over the price of a new one. Heck, you could buy a 100,000 mile warranty. You could buy a 125,000 mile warranty on that 1-year-old car, and for let's say it's $1,600 or $1,700, and you'd still be $2,500 ahead, and you'd actually have a longer warranty than you would if the vehicle was brand new. So just something to think about. But to answer your question, to get on the Hyundai and the Kia, to get the 100,000 mile drivetrain warranty, you've got to buy a brand new. Now, one of the things that I always talk about when you buy a brand new vehicle like that, there's a lot of stipulations that go to make that 100,000 mile warranty valid. You've got to do oil changes, and some of the manufacturers, I'm not sure about Hyundai, they require you to make the oil changes at the dealership versus having, some people like doing them themselves or going to Jiffy Lube or doing it wherever it's convenient. And unless, if you miss one oil change, you're out. So there's a lot of little stipulations you got to be careful of. But hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you. I enjoy your show.
Well, thanks for throwing you into a lease.
Right.
And the reason they have to do that is because the only way the payments are affordable is by leasing, because the cars are so darn expensive.
Yeah.
I get sticker shock when I go looking at cars. And one of the things that I was talking about is that you're negative because you bought the car brand new. And it's very frustrating when a customer comes in and their buying habits have changed or their driving habits have changed, or they bought the brand new Camaro last year. They love the car, but they're having triplets. Well, guess what? Kind of pain in the butt to put 3 car seats in the back of the car. Matter of fact, I don't think you can even do it. I think there's only 2 seat belts in the back. So you're forced to trade into the dreaded minivan.
Oh, yeah.
Or the Suburban, gas-guzzling Suburban. But let's say you want a minivan. You come in, you bought the vehicle last year for $34,000. The car lost $9,200 in 1 year. But you finance 100%. Heck, you still probably owe the original list price of the car because your payments are just now catching up to where you've paid for the taxes and the dock fee and the tag transfer. So my suggestion is, put a bunch of money down if you're going to buy new. Or take advantage of that 1-year depreciation and buy a car and save thousands of dollars. Hopefully, you'll get your new car that you're going to buy at Frontier Motors. 377 cars in inventory as of this morning. We've got about 2 more truckloads coming in, so we're going to have about 400 cars. We make it so simple when you come in to show you the cars. Our salespeople are nice enough to unlock every car every morning and lock them up at night so that you can sit in the cars. And it's very frustrating for a customer to come on a dealership's lot and they want to look at 15 or 16 different cars in a matter of a short period of time, because maybe you're on your lunch hour. Have you ever done that before, where you know the dealerships close at 6 and you got to work till 5:30. You don't have any time, so you jump. I get people we're very busy from like 11:30 to 1:30 because people take their lunch hour to look at cars. And we make it so convenient that they can jump from one car to the next car, because the number 2 thing other than the looks of the car is how it feels around you. How is that seat position? How is the windshield? How is the visibility? How is the dashboard height? How is the steering wheel control? Is the car feel good to you? And you can eliminate a car in a matter of seconds if you don't like the way it feels when you jump behind the seat. And most car dealerships keep their cars locked on purpose to make you feel obligated to that salesperson, because he's got to hoof it back to the key room every time you want to look at a different car. Well, what if you want to look at 20 cars in 20 minutes?
Not going to happen.
It ain't going to happen. That kid's going to be gone. And people will say, I've spent all day long at the new car dealership over on 29. Why'd you do that? Well, because it took that long just to pick a car out. At Frontier Motors, you can pick a car out in an hour. You can pick a car out in a couple of minutes if you want.
You can do it by phone call. That's what I did with this one. I said, I need a new SUV. Get me one. Yeah. And when I came in, you said, here it is. I said, fine. What is it?
It's a Mitsubishi Outlander.
Outlander. That's great.
With a great warranty.
What color is
car.
it? It's white. Okay.
Yeah. The neutral color.
Well, I'm kind of easy to please.
Would you have taken a purple one, Don?
No. I admit that would have been the limit.
Let's talk about color for a minute when we're talking about pricing. When you call up a banker and you ask them for a value on a car, why do you do that? Why do people call up banks? Well, one reason is because they have an NEDA guide. I want to remind everybody out there, banks do not appraise cars. Banks give you book values. When you call the banker to ask them a value of the car, they open up this NEDA guide book. Of course, they have it on a computer. And they ask you a couple things. What's the year? How many miles? What's the model? What's the equipment? They never asked you the color. Don just said he wouldn't buy a purple one. I probably could have dropped the price $1,000, and he probably still wouldn't have bought a purple one. And I'm not anything against purple. We do sell purple cars. What if you got a purple car with a pink interior? You think that would have anything to do with the saleability of that car? I think it would. Some yellow cars are hard to sell. Maybe not in a Corvette, but a yellow minivan would be hard to sell. And guess what? The banker would tell you it's the same price. The banker never asked you how many owners it had, if it's ever been in a major accident, does it have a clean Carfax? They don't run Carfax reports. It costs almost $50 to run a Carfax. At Frontier Motors, by the way, we run Carfax and auto checks at no charge for any individual. I'm not going to do it for car dealers, just, get your own Carfax. But if you're a private individual out there and you're going to be buying a car, maybe on one of the smaller lots over on Palafox that don't subscribe to Carfax because it's expensive, we subscribe to it. I can run as many as I want. So just call us with the ID number. The neat thing about this is it also spits out a price. So I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I can tell you if it's good or bad, and I can also tell you what the average selling price is on this particular car in our area. And that sometimes gets me a deal. Because if it spits out a price of $20,000 and that particular dealership's asking $23,000, you're armed with the ammunition to get them down to $20,000. You can tell them, Frontier Motors can sell me a car just like that for $20,000. You're asking $23,000. Doesn't mean you have to buy it from us, but you can use that information to get yourself a better deal if you like the car and it has a clean history report. If they won't do it, that's where I come in. Because with having 400 cars in stock, I probably have the twin sitting right on our lot that I'll sell you for that $20,000. We never give you bad information to kink another dealership's deal. In other words, I wouldn't tell you to buy that $20,000 car for $16,000 just to screw them up. That's not what we do. If it's a good deal, I'm going to tell you. Matter of fact, you don't have to tell us what the price is on that car. We're going to tell you what the average selling price is. And if I tell you $20,000 and they're at $20,000, the first thing I would say, go buy it. Hey, it's got a clean history report. It's a one-owner car. As long as it smells good and drives good and checks out, go ahead and buy the car. Because we know that's not the only car you're ever going to buy. So we give you the proper advice to make sure that when somebody asks you, where should I go to buy a car, that you recommend the dealer that helped you get the deal, not necessarily the dealer where you bought it. There's times where I lose car deals all the time to other dealerships. With 104 dealerships in Pensacola, we're not the only ones that sell cars. But it's very rarely because of the price of a car. It might be because you know someone in another dealership. Maybe it's a friend or a neighbor that or a relative that works there. It might be because we don't have the exact car in stock and you want one right now. By the way, that leads me into our locate program. If you don't have what you're looking for, we're not like most car dealerships. They all advertise we find cars for customers, but they rarely go out and actually buy a car for a customer. What they really do is take your name and number, and they say, I'll call you when I get one in trade. At Frontier Motors, I'm very aggressive that if I don't have the right car, I actually go out and buy the car for you with the understanding that all questions are answered before I buy it. In other words, you know the price, you know your value of your trade-in, you know what the payments are going to be if you're going to finance it. You give me a couple color choices and a must-have list of equipment. I buy the car for you without a contract, just on a handshake, that we have a deal as long as the car passes inspection. If the car comes in and doesn't pass inspection, don't pay me for it. But we've been doing this for 20 years. I have yet to lose a deal based on inspection. One thing that I've added, though, is we want to make sure you've driven the car. I lost a deal about 5 years ago on a Thunderbird where a lady came in and ordered a Thunderbird. It took me about a month to get the car for her. It was beautiful, exactly what she wanted. Found out her husband couldn't fit in it, so she didn't buy the car from me. So now I make sure that I ask you if you ever sat in the car before. He was like 6'8". He physically couldn't get into it. It was a joke. She loved the car. But he said, I'm not going with you. I can't fit in there. So that deal got kinked complete. I said, why don't you just take the top off? You'll fit in it then. That didn't work either. So anyway, I ended up with a Thunderbird. So what I do is I make sure that I ask the customer, have you sat in the car? Have you driven it? Just to make sure you like it. And of course, most people have. They wouldn't order a car if they haven't at least sat in the car or they have a car similar to that. So let's talk about, not about Frontier Motors, but let's talk about the best car out there. People always ask me, Ivan, which car would you buy if you bought one? Well, if I had unlimited funds, I'd probably buy a Lamborghini or some goofball car like that. But based on the fact that I don't have unlimited funds, I haven't won. There was a lottery, like 421 right now, $421 million. I have yet to buy a lottery ticket, but I guess I won't win unless I buy one. Lexus. I love selling Lexus products. Number one, there's not a local dealer, so I kind of have a hand up on the competition because there is no competition. You got to go to Mobile. And I kill those guys in Mobile all the time as far as pricing when it comes to buying a 1 or 2 year old Lexus. By the way, we can appraise your trade-in. So if you want to go over there and buy a brand new one, bring me the trade-in. You'll be surprised that a lot of times our appraisal is higher even on a used Lexus than theirs would be because sometimes they have too many inventory and they don't need the car. But Lexus is number one. Toyota's number two. They're always number two. Poor Toyota.
Yeah.
They'll never be number one. For the first time ever, Buick is number 3. Buick is the only one to make it as a domestic in the top 8. They call that the top 8 is how they categorize it. Buick is number 3. We got Vince Webb's Buick right here, great dealership. They're only about 4 blocks from Frontier Motors, by the way. If you're going to buy brand new, I would urge you to see those guys. Audi is number 4. Kia and Hyundai are ahead of BMW, Subaru, Acura, Nissan, Porsche, Mercedes, Lincoln, Cadillac. Can you believe it? Kia and Hyundai. Who'd have thought? When we started Frontier Motors 20 years ago, our banks wouldn't finance a Hyundai or Kia. You know why? Because they wouldn't last for the length of the loan. And people would stop paying when this car stopped running because they needed their money. If a motor blows up in $3,000 and you're out of warranty, you don't use $3,000 to put a new motor in there. Mm-hmm. You don't have the $3,000. You still have a loan on the car. So they would default on the loan, not because they wanted to. They just didn't have the funds. So the banks got smart and said, these cars are falling apart. The other one was Daewoo, which stopped producing cars.
Right.
That was a Korean car also. Now, fast forward 20 years, Kia and Hyundai are some of the best brands out there with the best warranty, by the way. We had AL call in earlier about a warranty.
Right.
If you buy a brand new one, you get a 5-year, 60 bumper to bumper, 100,000-mile drivetrain. Mm-hmm. Wow. Better than any other manufacturer out there, including Lexus. Toyota only has a 3-year warranty. Hyundai and Kia and Mitsubishi have a 5-year warranty. Figure that out. If Toyota's so darn good, why don't they give you a 5-year warranty like the other subpar manufacturers, supposedly?
And why don't you give us a call? But you better get on with it. You got 3.5 minutes left in today's show, 478-3116. Iven Streckel with Frontier Motors, also located at 230 Beverly Parkway, across Brent Lane, cross 29 on Brent Lane. It's on your right. That becomes magically Beverly Parkway, about a quarter of a mile down the road or thereabouts, where you can call us. You're listening to Iven Streckel, the Frontier Motors edition of Talk at 10 right here on News Talk 1370 WCOA.
The nice thing about being an independent dealer, and I always talk about this, is that we don't really have to sell you a car. And what I mean by that is we sell every make and model. When you go to a Hyundai dealer, they're going to bring this information out and say, hey, Hyundais are great. And then you go across the dealership, across the street to the Toyota dealership, they're going to tell you why Toyota has been number 1 and number 2 for years and years. They make the best product. Of course, Honda would dispute that. The Honda dealership would tell you we got the best car. So what we're talking about right now, folks, is that you can take your choice. We've got them all. I got the Hyundai, I got the Kia, I've got the Honda, I've got the Toyota. They're all sitting right there. Now do we got a call?
We do. This is Steve.
Hey,
Oh.
Morning.
hey, Steve. Thanks for calling the Frontier Motor Show. How can we help you?
I was just reading an article in the morning paper about the cars being returned off the 3-year leases. It sounded like there's going to be a glut of those kind of cars coming into the used car market, and I just wondered if that's really what you're seeing in the market.
Yeah, that's a good question, Steve. Thank you. And I only got 2 minutes left, so I don't want to. I don't want to be rude, but we're going to end up cutting you off. I'll answer that. There is going to be a lot more used cars than normal, which is going to be great for us because I'm going to be able to buy them for a lot less. 3-year leases and 2-year leases, even 1-year leases are becoming popular. Rental cars are coming out of rental service at the biggest rate I've ever seen, which means that right now my inventory of 1, 2, and 3-year-old cars is going to go way up and the prices are going to go way down. So good for someone that's buying a car, not so good for someone that owns that car right now because they are going to flood the market. Frontier Motors located at 230 Beverly Parkway. We've got a great website, frontiermotorsinc.com, 377 cars in inventory right now with another 20 coming. All of them have prices, 31 detailed photographs. We've got a great Facebook page. Like us on YouTube, or how does that go, Ryan? Ryan, like us on YouTube or check us out on Facebook. It doesn't matter. But you'll be able to see, if you Google Frontier Motors on YouTube, you're going to see my mug on there, and you can actually watch the show if you want. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can if you want. And we also have that same possibility on Facebook. We've been here for 20 years, and folks, I want you to know that we are the place to go to for advice. You don't have to buy a car from us. Just come in and get all your questions answered before you make a mistake. We know that when you buy a car somewhere else and we help you buy that car, the next one is going to be by us. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Have a great holiday season. Auf Wiedersehen.
Looking for the best car, SUV, or truck? Guess what? You're in luck. Frontier Motors is down the street. Got the best deals that can't be beat. Don't overpay, come in today. Doing business the old-fashioned way. Frontier, we got the right price. Frontier, we'll treat you mighty nice. Frontier Motors, low overhead country.